Welcome, everyone, to the Polarian series of webinars. Today's presentation, Deliver Higher Quality Software with Automated End-to-End Testing. We are very pleased to have as our guest presenter today, Jim Trentadue, Sales Manager with Ranorex. Ranorex is a software development company that provides innovative software testing solutions to thousands of companies and education institutions around the world. Ranorex provides a comprehensive range of tools for software automation. As well, from Polarian Software, we have Reg Strouk, QA Product Manager. Reg is Polarian's expert on test management with over 20 years of commercial software development and testing experience. He is dedicated to the domain of test management. Reg works with all of our technology partners like Ranorex on our integrations. Check out our recently updated Polarian Extension portal at polarianextensions.com. I would now like to turn the agenda over to Reg. Welcome, Reg.
Thank you, Nancy. And welcome, Jim. I'd like to thank everybody that's here today. And I'd like to thank my colleagues both from North America, Europe, hopefully Asia Pacific as well. We have a pretty exciting webinar today, and as Nancy mentioned at the end, we'll have a pretty interactive Q&A session. What I'd like to do is tell you a little bit about the agenda. I'll do a little bit of a company overview of Polarian. Jim will do one for Ranorex, as we anticipate a lot of you might not know about our companies and our product offering. And then Jim will get into detail about the UI automated testing that Ranorex offers, followed by Polarian's ALM UI and integrating your UI testing with ALM. And we'll talk about the integration that we're working on and the next steps and our resources as well. So thank you very much. So company overview. We're a privately held company. We're founded in 2004. Our first product release, we're happy to mention, was in 2005, so almost a decade of commercial releases. If you're not familiar with our products, we're a commercial package product-focused organization. We're a browser-agnostic, 100 browser-based collaborative product. What's really nice is that if you're not familiar with ALM, we have all of the goodies for development, from tracking your source control all the way to post-production release management. What's very unique about our offering from an ALM perspective is that we're actually built upon open source Subversion, and everything is treated as an object with full traceability within our platform. And as you can see in this particular slide, we have some very proactive sponsorship within the open source community. By the numbers, you might not be aware, but we actually have over 250 plus successful installations throughout the world in Fortune 1000 deployments. And we have a very active user community with 200 plus extensions that are available through our extension site on our website. And then we also have a very active community of 10,000 plus registered users that are using Subversion. Bird's eye view of our platform, as I mentioned, is that it's built on Subversion. It's 100% browser-based, and our whole ALM suite can be broken out into requirements for managing your requirements, Polarian QA for full test management services, and then all of the other functionality that's integrated into a full ALM suite. And as well, you'll notice that we have full cloud support and then a reviewer version for reviewing only revisions of various iterations of our requirements in QA product. The global presence is the dark areas, is our presence in our offices, our satellite offices, and our corporate offices in Stuttgart, Germany. And we have a very successful development in Czech Republic, and then as you see all through North America and even Asia Pacific. Then we have a very impressive customer list. We're involved in all the various verticals throughout the world.
And what I'd like to do is just walk through a little bit of Ranorex. As we were talking about, we're looking at our integration between Polarian. It's a great fit between the companies for what we focus on, which is functional test automation. So I'm going to walk through a little bit of our slide deck, and then I'm going to go ahead and walk into our demo. So first, our agenda. Why Ranorex, and what do we want to go with it? Who uses Ranorex? Just a little bit about our licensing, some of the advantages, and then our product demonstration. So why Ranorex? Some of the common test automation challenges that we've heard from some of our customers is we have multiple environments. We have devices, software applications. How can we find one tool that can go across technology and go across platform to be able to do all this? And one of our selling points here is that we work on any technology. So whether it's WinForms, any kind of Windows browsers, mobile platforms, It's all one tool. What about frequent software releases and upgrades and changes? So now, when do I start my automation? Because I'm going to have objects that are changing. But if I work in an agile environment, which I'm having builds come through all the time, it's robust automation that can work with all your releases. We work very well in an agile environment specifically. Multiple teams, different skill sets, responsibilities. Do I have to have a specialist that's test automation that is scripter only? That a lot of our competitors may have to have that type of skill set. For us, no, you're going to see a broad acceptance where we engage in our tool, we can engage a lot more manual testers within the mix. How about agile processes and comprehensive tool chains? What about tying this into any other test management systems like Plarion QA or upfront like Jenkins or Bamboo, Jira, things like that? How can I work seamlessly with that? We do have seamless integration as our software is an executable that can be integrated very easily into some of these other applications. What about time and resource creep to manage software quality? With RANORX, hopefully I'm going to show you that you're going to see a quick ROI with the learning curve very, very low. Who uses RANORX? So traditionally in software development, we'll have domain testers, right? They're focused on manual testing. Then we may have developers on the right-hand side. So a domain tester understands the application, business logic, test planning, specification, execution, reporting, just some of the very typical tasks that you'll see as a manual tester. Developer, so someone who is working on software development, code analysis, unit testing, bug fixing, again, very traditional roles that these two folks will play. We have a domain tester and a developer. What about the test automation expert? So typically you'll see in a lot of organizations, it's got a small team, right, or an individual that may handle the requests that come in for test automation. But it's not something that the manual testers usually engage in outside of just running the scripts. So our test automation expert is scripting. We see this as a RANORX expert, and I'm going to explain what that is in a minute here. Tools and processes, they understand where the continuous integration points are and where the test management integration points are. So if you look at this whole mix, if you have your manual testers, your testers to the left-hand side, and you got your developers to the right, we're saying now with your test automation expert, you're able to bring in more developers and more testers into the mix that can be RANORX users. So, and this is what we see with a lot of our customer base is a lot more engagement with the manual testers and developers who use it, in addition to having someone who is a RANORX expert. A lot more adoption. The way we go about this is having different abstraction levels. You may see with other competitors to say, when you create a script, it's all jumbled into one where you'll see your object recognition, the test steps that you want to do, along with any verification points. We abstract these a little differently. So our first is that we have our tester go out and just record what you want to. Treat it like you're a manual test. And I'm going to show you within the tool how our actions table is just pure readable English. What if I'm a developer and I prefer to just write my own code entries? We support that as well. We tie into the .NET APIs, so we can go ahead and you can have your scripting language as VB.NET or C#. So behind the scenes, back to the testers here, you don't have to do any coding at all. But in the background, that is creating either VBScript or C#. And what about this actions table? What do I need to do from a test automation expert? They may be the ones that are responsible for a little bit of recording, a little bit of code module, a little bit helping with the actions table and repository, where there's a little bit to do in each one of those areas, not just purely focused on coding and doing all the scripting themselves. So you're going to see this test automation expert can be spread across and used a lot more widely. So some of the licensing, I just wanted to say this, it is one tool, it is one license. There is no separate plugin for web or mobile or desktop that you buy this space and now you got to buy all these plugins. This is it. You buy one tool, you have all this across with a single license. It's end-to-end testing across desktop, web, mobile. Within the tool, if you wanted to test from desktop to web to mobile, back to web, back to mobile, back to desktop, you can do that all within your suite as you define it. And then we offer it's either a node lock or floating. Cost efficient, no need to install the full package. The simple execution through an exe file, and again, flexible use for different configurations and different tools that you may be using. It's perpetual license. You own the license. It's a 1-year support. We do offer enterprise packages as well, so for those training needs. How about some of the Ranorex advantages? Again, we talked about this. It's any technology. It's one tool, any application, any device. Android, iOS, working on all the flavors of IE, Chrome, Firefox, Safari, cross-device testing, cross-browser. This really enables you to have your end-to-end test scenarios well-defined. Robust automation, minimal test maintenance. Object-based automation separates the object identification from automation. I'm going to show that. Covers dynamic user interfaces. Broad acceptance, drag and drop test creation. Again, you're going to see a lot of drag and drop as I go through this. Reuse of modules and keywords. Full access to the Ranorex APIs. Again, it's very open as far as what you can do here. Extensible through the flexible .NET API as well. Seamless integration. It's a test executable that you can configure within your test management system or within your upfront systems for your continuous integration. How about a quick ROI? Our license costs, I feel, you'll see in the market, it's very competitive. There's a great learning curve, and it's future-proof as we're always staying on top of technology. There is no plans. We have nothing to go out and say, now mobile is going to be a separate price. It's not the mantra or MO of this company. How about a product overview? So let me go back into here, and I am going to open up Ranorex. So when you open up Ranorex, this is what you get at the beginning. It's just you're prompted to say, do I want a new solution? Some samples, and open a test solution. So what I'm going to do is just go through and just create a new solution. As you can see here, I can either do this in C# as my scripting language or VB.NET. So I'm just going to put this in VB.NET. And I'm going to say Polarian demo. And within here, I can add this to source control if I wanted to really make some of these assets to be shared. So I'm going to create this. All it's doing is creating a project file for me. But what I want to show you here is that what it did is create a test suite. So this test suite, we tried to make this very similar to what a manual tester would interact with. Test suite contains test cases. This is the shell that it creates. One test suite has one test case and a recording module. So that recording is where I go back to back. And we call that a module is because I can drag and drop things as I need to, rename them however I wish. So I'm going to start by going in here to my recording module. And if you can see here, this is all empty. There's no actions. There's no objects to be recognized. So let's go ahead and create a script. So a recording module, I should say. So let's hit record. Within this screen, you're going to see I can run this. I can create this against a desktop application. I can create this against a browser or a mobile device. So it's your choice. Again, we pull that all together within one tool. So as you can see, the different browser types that we have to work with. So I'm going to run this against a desktop application. So I'm going to browse to a sample application that we have that can just demonstrate some of the capabilities. So now I have my application loaded, and I'm ready to record some of my steps. So I'm going to hit start. All right, so within here, now in record mode, it's highlighting all in red. That means the application is trying to understand and interact with the objects that I'm working with. So I am going to go in here and type in a first name. So now it's capturing information about that field. Dylan, I'll call that Martin. And Dylan Martin is in the music category, and I'm going to hit add. Now, one of the other points I want to highlight is to say, if I wanted to validate that my VIP count down here is 1, I don't have to say I need to set a region image comparison, window image comparison. I don't have to define exactly the type I want to do right now. All I have to do is just go down here to my recording and just say validate. So now that changes from red to purple. And so within here, I'm going to go down and I want to say this VIP count equals 1. All I'm going to do is click on that, and it's going to bring me through a quick little 2-screen process to say, all right, here's everything I found on your computer, but I'm highlighting that VIP count equals 1. And I'm going to say, yep, that's the one I want. Next. And here's some of the properties that we can go about validating. So I can change this at any time, but I'm going to use the 2 default. Does it exist? Yes. And the text, the VIP count equals to 1. So I'm going to use that, and I'm going to hit OK. So after that, I am going to decide to close my application, and I'm going to hit stop. All right, so now you see this was open, or this was empty before. Now we've got some things filled in here. What is all this stuff? This are your steps. These are all the steps that I created. But if you read through this, it's all just in readable English. It's nothing that someone can't go through who's used to working with manual test cases to understand. So as you walk through here, I see run application, step 2, mouse click. It's showing me where I clicked. Key sequence, as you could see, I had DYLAN. What I can do is merge these two together. When I merge them, I lose my little bitmap, but it's a lot easier. So now what I'm going to do is just right-click, merge selected keyboard items. So now I don't need that. This is just a little cleanup that I do. I'm going to hard code that Dylan path. All right, mouse click last name. Again, I'm just going to clean that up because it's tracking all my keystrokes, but I don't need that if I'm entering a hard-coded name. All right, mouse click music, click add, click validate attribute is equal to that, and mouse click close. Now, there is something I forgot to do. So I recorded this script, but if I open up my application, I entered Dylan Martin. Dylan Martin is actually a male. So now what do I have to do? I have to go back. A lot of the other competitors, you're going to see you have to re-record because now there's something in the middle of the script you have to alter. Not with this tool at all. So as you see, our steps are separate from basically our object repository. What I'm going to do here is just really simply use this little utility we have called the View Spy. It's part of the Ranorex Studio suite that you get with your license. I click on this. All this does is say, okay, here's everything you have open. Let me track this. Now it's going back and it's trying to track. It's not recording a test, but it's recording against an object. So I want to click on that mail. All right. So now it found the mail, that radio button. As you can see, this is in our utility. And I'm going to right click and add to repository. After I right click, you're going to see it appear down here. Again, this is everything that the test has interacted with. So if I right click and just add that to repository, now it's down there. But I still didn't add it to my test yet. So I'm going to show you how easy it is. If I click on music and just want to figure out where to put this, I click on add. So before I hit add, between step 6 and 7, all I want to do is take this button, this object that's in my repository, and drag and drop right here. It's going to prompt me to say, you're putting an object into the test. What do you want to do with it? What do you want to do? I want to add that. So now, as you can see, the repository item, it's going to mouse click radio button mail. All right, so that's great. Now I don't have to re-record. So as you can see, if you have objects that come onto your screen, remove, things like that, you don't have to re-record your steps or your scripts. Just add the object to repository, drag and drop, add it to your recording module, and you're done. One of the last things I want to show you is to say, that's great. I used Dylan Martin one time. What do I need to do to data drive this? How simple is that process? Do I need to write descriptive programming to code all of my Excel fields if I'm using Excel for data driven, and then go ahead and run this? How simple can that process be? I want to show you how simple it can be in 3 steps. The first thing I would like to just show you is a test names file I have. So my Excel sheet is named, I have first name demo, and I have second name demo, and I have the 3 values here. So I just wanted everyone to be aware of that. What I'm going to go ahead and do is step 1. Click on where it's the data drive, where you want to do some data driven. Click there, as new variable. I'm going to call this Valerian first name. I can leave the default value there, that's fine. And my last one, I'm going to click, again, on that Martin, as new variable, Valerian last name. I said this is a 3-step process. Step 1 is done. Just like that. Just create the variables. Now what I want to go ahead and do is to say, let's go in here. As you can see, I have 2 unbound variables. Well, and you can see it's in the data binding column. So all I'm going to do here, right-click, data bind. Step 2, go to my data source. We have the option of connecting to our Ranorex data table, CSV file, SQL connector, or Excel file. So I'm going to click Excel file. Now it's asking me here. So I'm going to go ahead and use my test names file that I had. It's reading that. we give you the option, if you had a 500-row Excel spreadsheet and you wanted to use the first 10, just select the range. You don't have to say set row count equal to 50. Just select the range. If you want it to be A1 through L50, that's fine. But I only have 3 rows, so I'm going to leave that. So I connected to my thing. I connected to my Excel spreadsheet. I have a data connector, apply. That's step 2. That's done. And you can see the data preview there. Data binding, this is step 3. These are my columns in Excel, first name demo, second name demo. Now I have to tie those to that Polarian FN that I created and the Polarian LN I created. Very simple. Go in here, Polarian FN, since I define that as a variable. Second name, Polarian LN, and apply. 3 steps. My script is now data-driven. I haven't seen that as simply put in any other tool that I've seen. So what I'm going to do is to show that, I'm going to run this test suite since I have that bound. So it's driving it from the data values here. And you can see now it's music, and it's clicking on that mail button, that object I added. To show you within our Polarian demo here, I just wanted to show you here the test case. It iterates through everything that we had. Again, it's going to iterate all through those rows. What's nice about this report is it tells you, here's the data I used. This is the one for Mike Smith. Here's the one for Joe Jones. And here's the one for Bob Johnson. So it's by no means is this a load and stress testing tool, but we are capturing the metrics on how long it takes to run each one of those test cases. So the last thing I would like to show you, close that, this recording module is awfully big. Even for as small, it may seem small, but I want to make this reusable for other people. So I want to right click. I want to move this to a new recording module. And I want to call that, my application is called VIP. So I'm going to call it Start VIP. Now it moves that out of there. I'm going to save that. Now I'm going to take this one that's closing my application, and I'm going to move to a new recording module, and we'll call that Close VIP. Now I cannot run this recording 1 script. Will not run because it has nothing to start, but that's okay. It's all, I just want to show you some of the drag and drop features. In my test suite, all I have to do, these modules here, drag that in, and that's it. Drag and drop, you rename you make it module, you don't have to define your test script up front. Now I can drag and drop. If I wanted to delete this out of here, it doesn't delete it from the recording module, it just deletes it from the test case. So we'll take questions at the end, but I just wanted to show you how ease of use you can use this tool. Again, I did this within 20 minutes, and I have data-driven tests, and I have very flexible modularity within my tool. So, Reg, I will turn this back over to you.
Thank you very much, Jim. All right, so Jim gave us a fairly detailed demonstration of Ranarex's UI automated testing platform, and where this actually links with Polarian is why would you want to integrate user interface, or sorry, UI testing with ALM? Well, first and foremost is that now you're in your entire testing process, you're one step further in automating your testing activities. Second is that you have the ability now to start streamlining your test execution. So taking your test results that are actually executed in your UI testing, automated testing, and streamlining that by having those results populate your application lifecycle management. The third, which is a very compelling reason to integrate your UI testing with ALM, is the fact that now you have full collaboration throughout your entire workflow. So if you set up properly your workflow process, for example, you could have when a defect is created, when a test results are failed, the appropriate teams can actually be literally notified of what occurred, what the status is, and what needs to be fixed. All right, so we went through the first 3 bullet points, and next is traceability. So this is key in the sense that now we have the ability, when you integrate your UI testing with ALM, is that you can actually full traceability from basically your tests are created, the results get populated in your test management system, defects are created, which are ultimately linked back to your test cases. Those test cases are linked back to the original requirements, and then even to fix this, it's fully traced back to the source control. So actually the code that actually is affected by the test cases and the defects that associate with test cases. And you have a complete audit of what occurred in your automated testing. So Ranarex's activity that occurred and the results that actually happened in your ALM, you'll have a full bird's eye view, a picture of what occurred within those results. I'll show you that in the demonstration. The final compelling reason to integrate your testing, your UI testing with ALM is now you're one step closer to the continuous integration. So what we're striving towards in testing domains in the last little while is the idea of continually testing 24/7, which obviously at this point is not necessarily 100% possible or achievable, but we're getting closer and closer by having these types of integrations. So how this works. So here's your ALM. In this particular case, obviously it's Polarian with requirements management, test management, task management, et cetera, so on and so forth, with the various processes in place, such as Agile. Start with determining what your UI requirements are. So what are the test automation requirements? Next, actually want to model those. So what is the user behavior? Have the use cases, personas, et cetera. Third down that cycle is, well, we'll create the scripts. So you notice in RanderX, you can actually easily create scripts that are completely menu-driven. And then we want to actually run those tests, so that the recordings that we showed in RanderX, actually be able to run those. And then ultimately, it gets captured and managed. All the results from those tests get captured and managed in the test management system, in this case, Polarian QA. So how it works. So we mentioned continuous integration. And what we have here is basically the ability to actually use something such as Jenkins or LDRA or some other kind of continuous integration server. In this particular case, we have it integrated with Polarian. So you can see you can actually launch the execution of the scripts for your test automation server, and then the results get populated back in Polarian server, such as XUnit result files. So test benefit is they're unified. So as you notice here is we've got mobile tests, user acceptance tests, you'll have your exploratory testing, all these in Polarian, one simple project, and a bird's eye view of the different types of tests, what is being tested, what the status of those tests are, and the reports that are associated with them, so the outcome activity. And in this particular case is that we'd have to also be able to segregate these tests. So all the results that actually get imported from RanderX, the results, we can segregate them based on the successes of the passed or failed. And you'll notice you'll be able to actually categorize which ones passed and which ones failed. And then even adding more to the power of this is the fact that now you can have issues that are created. So any of the failed defects, I would automatically generate a defect that is actually linked to the appropriate test case. So what's next? Well, coming soon, we will have a released integration. As we showed, there's a proof of concept, and if you're actually interested in getting an early test or proof of concept of this particular integration, then certainly that's available through us. And what's going to be in that? Well, we'll know for sure that, say, all the test runs that are created in RanderX will actually be saved directly in Polarian QA. And you'll be able to consolidate all those results based on the status. And then finally, you'll be able to auto-create the work items, so the defects of those failed tests, and use them appropriately in your workflow. Some resources. So obviously, our two websites, randerx.com, polarian.com, email addresses for both Jim and I. Now we'll move on to actually the Q&A. So if you actually have any questions, what we want to do is use the Q&A panel from our WebEx Medium. And what we'll do is we'll address those verbally as we move forward. We've got about another 15 minutes or so left. So feel free to any questions on today's presentation. Give everybody a couple of moments just to be able to actually review that.
Reg, there were a few that came in on the chat. Well, I can push those out to you right now, and then
yes, please.
Okay. There was one that came in on the chat that said, "Are there separate plugins to buy or implement and use RanderX across technologies and platforms?" So I might push that over to Jim if that's convenient.
Yeah, absolutely. Jim, did you want to answer that?
Sure, absolutely. So there is nothing. Like I said, you'll see with many other, I think just about every other competitor out there, we'll see that there is separate. If you want to buy the base product and then implement the desktop piece, the mobile piece, or the web piece, that's not how our tool works. It's when you buy the license, you get everything with it.
Okay, and I had another one that came in as well. I think a little more geared again to yourself, Jim. But does the mobile test run with a real device or with emulators?
That's a great question. So we plug in directly when you tune your mobile device. You can plug in just a USB cord and right to your computer, and we will put a little monitor on your mobile device. So you're actually going to be able to watch very simply, without programming, watch your test run go from your web onto your mobile device, back to the web. But we also work with emulators as well. So we work with the real device, should you choose to, or with the emulators, whatever's convenient for your environment.
Okay, and just one more here that was sent in as well, again, with regards to your presentation, Jim. Can I do cross-browser testing with RANREX?
Absolutely. So in my example, how I showed that you could do it across, we data drove the test for names. You can simply create a variable and data drive your tests across IE browsers, or different browsers, I should say, whether it's Chrome, Firefox, Safari, IE, however you want to do that. Within our drop-down list box, you can pick on the run which one you want to pick. If you want to record it against IE, but you ran that against Google, however you want to do it, we completely support cross-browser fully testing.
Okay. There's a question here on the Q&A, and it's about, is there a trial version that's available that we can install and try out? I'll answer first on the Plarion side because it didn't say which product. Yes, Plarion, actually, there is a full web-based trial version. It's 30-day with full functionality, as well as if you actually want to get the integration as well between RANREX and Plarion QA. We do actually have a proof of concept, and we'd be more than happy to talk to you about getting that in your environment to try out. And Jim, did you want to talk about your trial as well?
Absolutely, sure. So we do have a 30-day trial that download from our website that you get full support. We have a team that's myself, my peer, and we have some pre-sales engineers that any questions that come in, we certainly will get those answered right away to help you along with your evaluation. But we do offer a 30-day trial that's a full license, a full premium license.
Okay. There's another question about, in reference to, does Plarion actually work with other UI test automation tools? That's a good question. In this particular instance, the one that we work with obviously is RANREX from a pure integration point of view. So certainly if you're using UI or you're looking at UI, I'd suggest that you might want to look at RANREX. However, with our open platform, Plarion actually has an open API and web services that go along with that. We do have the ability to integrate with various types of test automation. In fact, on our site, there's a Plarion extensions portal. It tells you which particular products from a test automation perspective that we integrate with. But the reality is that anything that's XML-based, we can actually set up scripts as well to have an integration. But if you're interested in something like that, certainly you can contact us at Plarion Extensions. Thank you.
Reg, I have one more question that's come in through the chat here. It says, I know RANREX has excellent documentation about how to use their product. How about Plarion?
That is a good question. I can't compare RANREX's documentation because I must apologize, I haven't looked at it, but I'll definitely have to take a look at it if someone has actually made that comment. Our documentation is all web-based. It comes with the product. All our documentation is fairly easy to use, and from my perspective, being a product manager, I find it a very excellent documentation. As well as we have 24/7 support, but the other thing that's a great caveat of our organization is the fact that we have a very active user community that provides a lot of feedback and support of our product offering. Any other questions? I do have another one that came up. So can we record LabVIEW results using RANREX? That would be for you, Jim.
Any interaction through the UI can certainly automate because, again, we work with any tools that are all Windows-based, Windows-driven, so desktop, web, mobile. I'd like to understand specifically more about what that is. But LabVIEW results, if it's we can capture anything within that Windows context and Windows frames that's seamless to us.
So I just brought up on the webinar screen, the main screen for contact info. So if anybody actually wants to contact myself or Jim in reference to potential integrations or proof of concept, obviously the LabVIEW results, there's our email addresses, and feel free to actually contact us directly.
Okay, I have one more question. What does Polarian have that the other competitors don't?
Good question, except it's a very broad base. From an integration perspective, or do you have any more details, Nancy? Or,
no, I would answer from an integration standpoint, just based on the webinar.
Right. Okay. From our perspective, is that one of our advantages, or at least advantage that we hear from our customers, is the fact that because we actually have an open platform and our core competency is in ALM, we easily open up our API for integration with complementary products such as test automation with Ranorex, other requirements products, other static code analysis tools. We have a list of over 200 plus extensions that we either publicly support or at least publicly offer on our Polarian.com site. So certainly that would be our strongest advantage from an integration perspective. And Jim probably can attest to that in the reality of how easy it's been to, from a technology perspective, to do the integration with our product, as well as from an organization perspective as well.
Yep. I mean, we're excited about this integration because Polarian is a company that's a leader in the ALM space, and we believe we're a leader in the functional test automation space, and this partnership we're excited about.
I have another question for you, Jim. It's asking if we could execute a Ranorex script from Polarian after the integration has been established.
So with Polarian, if it has the capability of kicking off the the automated scripts, absolutely. We tie in, once the integration is established, we tie in well with other tools that, some continuous integration tools like a Jenkins and Bamboo, Jira, that actually kick off those scripts. We have a lot of customers that are doing that. So yes, that's certainly something we'll be able to do within the solution here. Again, once that integration is established.
Yes, so just to add to what Jim said, he's absolutely correct. And I've put up a slide here that actually, at least from a graphical perspective, it shows what happens. So in this particular example here is, we're actually not using Jenkins, but it is Jenkins that you could use, or any other kind of continuous integration server. And in this particular case, this is how we actually work with a lot of the existing test automation plugins, is that from the Polarian side, we actually would invoke a cron job, okay, that invokes the execution to start the scripts on the test automation server side. So what we're doing, as Jim alluded to, is we actually are doing this for a customer currently for integration with Ranorex's test automation. And the idea is that what we're currently working on is it does actually invoke a scheduled cron job that executes the launch of those scripts. And then another automated process that occurs from a cron job perspective is on the back end, where the results actually get imported into our Polarian QA.
Well,
any other questions?
I don't see any in either the Q&A or the chat at this second. We can certainly, I can just give a few little closing remarks here, and we can still leave the Q&A open if they come in. We won't leave yet, but I will take this opportunity to certainly thank Jim from Ranorex and Reg, obviously from Polarian, for their time today, and to thank all of you for joining us. I know that you're very busy. Again, a reminder that immediately following this webinar, you will receive a short evaluation as well as the audio link. We encourage you to go to the Polarian website and take a look at our extension site at www.polarian extensions, as well our on-demand library, which will in a few days have this particular presentation in a full on-demand series, but there certainly are a lot of other assets in the library there that follow the same integration with other partners. So please take a look. And on behalf of Polarian and Ranorex, thank you for sharing your time with us today.
Thanks, Nancy. And I'd like to thank Jim as well. Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure.
It's been great, guys. Thank you very much, everyone, for your time. I'm excited to see how this works in the future.